Hello, scruff tards, freaks, geeks, basement dwellers, and, yeah, strange weirdos that frequent the internet. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And this is the morning of the 29th of April, and unfortunately, the Ukrainians are currently facing an endless onslaught of Russian assaults, and it is showing along the front line. Right, so Andrew, Perpetuous Map, starting off at Kursk and Belgrad. Zooming in a bit, Oleshnia, like we talked about the other day, still holding, and Russia is pushing in towards Gornal. Moving down south to Belgrad, we can see here, like I said, we should assume Demidovka to have fallen, and here we have it. Russia has pushed in, and according to Andrew, Demidovka is now under Russian control, and they are contesting Popovka. Belgrad is essentially, and they have also reclaimed the Prileshia. So Belgrad appears to be back under Russian control. Meanwhile, in Kursk, Ukraine is still holding on to Oleshnia, tying up Russian forces in the area. Moving south, north of Kupiansk, in the Dvorichna operational area, we can see that Russia is struggling at Kindrashivka and Zapadnya. They have been trying to push past these two towns for quite some time. Ukraine is offering stiff resistance, but further north, in the small town here of Kamyanka, you can see here it's been going back and forth a bit. Russia has been able to push into this town, and there are flags waving all over the place at the moment, Russian assault. So I think it's safe to say that Kamyanka has, in the end, fallen. Ukraine was making some counterattacks a week or so ago. This is troubling, because here you have a bridge. If this bridge is still intact, I don't know, but Andrew usually marks bridges when they have been destroyed, and there is no mark here. So there's a chance that this bridge is intact. So if Russia can secure this bridge, that means they can send in troops to secure this part here. This is right next to the Oskil River. So if they can come in here and secure this part up here, then it's easier for them to push in troops and then begin pushing out and follow the roads south to help out at Dvorichna, and further south again to Kupiansk, or maybe even push westward to come up behind Vovchansk. That's a far way to go, but anything that the Russians are doing here will draw resources from Kupiansk and maybe even from Vovchansk to deal with this new push. So this thing here might be more important than you first think. It's a small town, but this bridge could actually have huge strategic effect, not just operational. Because if you begin to have, well, it's how it all ties up. You have some tactical success in Kamyanka. That means you secure the bridge. Securing the bridge has operational effect. Now you can outflank Dvorichna and make pushes on Kupiansk. Well, if you threaten Kupiansk, then you have strategic effect. Now Ukraine must allocate massive resources to secure Kupiansk, right? So I think we need to keep an eye on this bridge here. It feels more important than we may realize. Moving south, we have some Ukrainian successes here at Zaru. Quite interesting. Going back a couple of days, you can see here how Russia is pushing south along the main road, trying to reach Bohuslavka, and they're striking with artillery in Zaru, which appears to be a Ukrainian stronghold, and then Ukrainian assault to the west, heading straight for Oskil River. There's only like 400 meters from this part, from these buildings here, to the shoreline of the Oskil River. So if you have Russians in Bohuslavka, if Ukraine can push through here, these Russians, if they are down here, they are in trouble and they are cut off, essentially. Still not much going on around Nadia or going back. You can see there are some artillery strikes, but the Ukrainians have not been able to push out further in the area. They had some momentum some weeks ago when they took Nadia and they started pushing in along the windbreaks and into some of the forests here. This is right next to a valley. Let's go back to the topography map again to show you. Whoop, come on. There we go. Here's the valley, and with the river in it, you can see they're right close. You can see here how close the Ukrainians are to the slopes. So the Russians are holding on to basically a few tree lines, some patches of woodlands, and then the cliffs leading straight into the valley here. So if Ukraine can push out to the edge here, to the slopes, then they can obviously try and use the river as a flanking anchor, which could allow them to continue operations northward to liberate the villages further north along this ridge line or right next to this valley. Let's see what else has happened. Artillery strike. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry for that. Artillery strikes up around Siversk. Toretsk. Interesting things going on. You can see how Russia is pushing towards Dylivka and up towards Dachne. They've also pushed in out of Toretsk. I'm thinking all of Toretsk is under Russian control at this point. You can see it's contested, but I think the reality is Ukraine has left Toretsk. Russia is in full control because the Russians are pushing out. They're coming into this valley here. Remember we were talking about this when Russia made the push for Nelipivka. They wanted to cut supplies leading to the mining facility and to this valley. After that push, they made a strong push for the mining facility, and now they're pushing out into the valley. This is where Ukraine can hide, where they can build up troops and defend. And they have also pushed out to the river here in order to cut off the Ukrainians down here in Leonidivka and Novospassky. Let's go back to the topography map. Back and forth. Oh, come on! Stupid map. Show us what you got. So here you have the river, and as you can see, you have the road network and everything right next to it, and the Russians are trying to push out to the river to cut these roads, these supply lines, get to the various bridges that are available in order to isolate the Ukrainians down here. And as you can see here, they're coming up through the windbreaks in this area, and that puts them really close as they're continuing north here, close to this road here. That leads into town from the west. So they are actively trying to isolate this massive Ukrainian stronghold right here by coming into the north, cutting off the supply lines, coming up to the west, cutting off supply lines, and also at the same time pushing into these defendable Ukrainian positions out in the terrain, this valley, and then you have this mining facility here. That's that. Going back to this again, pushing up north at the big intersection to the east of Pokrovsk and Mirnorad. They have been struggling here. Ukraine has been effectively holding the line along this main highway here and this massive intersection, and Russia has had issues trying to push out, but they are instead pushing north instead of going northwest, and they have had success doing so. And they also have been pushing up around here in this area, coming up along the river here. Seems to be a bit static over at Pokrovsk, or that's a bit of a lie, but just outside of Pokrovsk at least, the lines are not moving all that much. But going down here, you can see here, Russia has been having issues with Uspanfka, and this is important. If Ukraine can push in along the Solona River here through Uspanfka and along the highway along the road up here, they disrupt logistics moving into Solona across this bridge. You can see it here, right? Russia needs to secure this bridge, and there's another bridge down here because this is an island in the middle of the river. So they need to secure Novovasilivka to ensure logistics can move up to Solona. The Russians have bombed the dam here to prevent Ukraine from pushing across into Solona. Now they need to push Ukraine out of Uspanfka to secure the supplies coming in this way. So they have been pushing up across the field here towards Novo-Oleksandrivka to come up behind and below south of Uspanfka to push the Ukrainians away from this logistical route, that bridge. And as you can see, they are pushing at Nadinivka along the entire front line. Russian assaults, let's see if we can see here, they are pushing with vehicles across the open fields. Here you go, driving straight across the field, so you can see how they're firing at Ukrainian positions as they're moving, trying to get across to reach Ukrainian positions here across this field and to outflank Uspanfka. So Uspanfka is a real problem for the Russians, and they are currently trying to deal with it. Let's see here. There was another point that I was... yeah, here we go. Sorry about that. Whoops, this is the wrong date. I've been a couple of dates back. Jesus Christ, sorry for that. Yeah, going back here, you can see... This is what I wanted to show you. Sorry for that. If you take a look, this is on the 24th. So we move ahead, you can see here Russian assault. Here you can see vehicles driving straight across the open field, firing off into the distance with their autocannons at Ukrainian positions. They're bombing like hell Ukrainian positions here around Uspanfka. 26th, front lines are moving up. 27th, moving again. And 28th, they are now in Uspanfka. Sorry about that. Got confused there a bit. So they pushed into Uspanfka to secure the bridge. I need to go back if I missed something. Yeah, take a look here. I was on the wrong date when I was giving you a goddamn update. Here you can see how they're pushed up to the east of that intersection. I was like, I need to show them all of this, and something feels wrong here. It's not what it's supposed to be. But yeah, gonna have to go back up here to double check. It seems to be correct up here. And the same thing. Why did I do that? Weird. Alright, so sorry for that. Massive confusion. So what I wanted to show you besides that is this push towards Bahatyr. I think this will be the next big battle along the front line. Maybe. You never know, but it feels like it, because if you take a look what's happening here, this is on the 24th. Moving ahead, you can see how Russia is aiming a lot of artillery and airstrikes at Bahatyr. They are in Rosliv. Ukraine is countering with attacking Russians down here. Look at this, massive airstrikes at Bahatyr on the 27th. And now on the 28th, yesterday, huge artillery and missile barrage aimed at Bahatyr. And all of a sudden, Ukraine is launching airstrikes, drone strikes, Russian strikes at some fortification at the edge of town. And the various mappers are now showing that Russia is pushing across these fields and contesting the area just outside of Bahatyr. So it appears to be a huge battle ongoing here right now. And this is the fortification at this intersection here. You can see trenches, bunkers, and what have you. And this is where the various mappers show either that Russia is in full control, they're not in control, or you have Andrew's map where they are in control of half of it. I think it's safe to say that Russia is trying to maybe have breached this part of the fortification that we're seeing, and you have fighting back and forth. So since some mappers show that all of it is under Russian or is contested by Russia, some mappers show nothing is contested. I think this might be accurate, 50-50. Russia may have come in from the southeast, breached, may be in control of this part of the fortification, and they want to try and push into the rest of it to have a staging point close to town. This appears to be a big battle that is currently ongoing in south of Pokrovsk. So if Russia can push in here, they outflank Oleksivka and can then push in towards Selenyukut and continue towards Odradne, obviously, to come in north of Ukrainian positions over at Komar and what have you. So those are the big hot spots currently. So this is the ISW map, their 3D map around Bahatir. You can see here how they are showing that Russia is contesting the entirety of this corner where you had all those fortifications, and that they have pushed up to this crossroad here, that they are right outside of Bahatir, that is being mercilessly shelled at the moment by the Russians. So you can see here, but I mean, it's a difficult approach for the Russians. As you can see, it's flat land. Flat land, sounds like a weird science fiction movie. But as you can see, if Ukraine has good fire positions, it's going to be difficult for Russia to push past an assault because it's flat, there's no cover, and that is why you need this massive barrage aimed at this town to free up movement. I was talking about this in my previous video, talking about NATO doctrine, fire and maneuver. So shelling this town like crazy forces the Ukrainians to duck into cover, and that allows Russian units to push up to positions just outside of town, outside of the danger zone of their artillery barrage. And the Ukrainians obviously know it. They know when the Russians switch from artillery, switch away from missiles and begin shelling you with mortars instead, that is when the assault will begin into town. So, and they realize as long as the heavy artillery is hitting Bahatir, Russians are moving up to position themselves around the town. So while all of these artillery strikes are happening, Ukrainians are ducking into cover in the basements. Ukrainians further back are now more than likely scouring the area with drones, hunting down Russians trying to push up to assault positions outside of town. But yeah, this feels like it's gonna be a costly affair for the Russians. Lots of open spaces. Ukrainian drones will be able to hunt down Russian vehicles quite easily. And for the Russians to reach the town, I mean, there are no windbreaks leading into town, right? Here you have some vegetation, but this is easily countered with a couple of good machine gun nests with mortars covering this approach where you have some cover. Same thing up here. This is a difficult approach for the Russians, and it explains why they put so much focus on this fortification here. If they can secure the fortifications right here, it puts them so much closer to the town, right? And this is where they can find cover, build up their forces, and can actually push into town. I'm guessing they really want these buildings here, these warehouses. Seems like a likely point they want to breach instead of trying to reach these buildings up here. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I'm thinking that they're going to try and they want to secure the trenches here, and from here try and push into the warehouses here to secure a corner, a breach point into the town, and from here spread out as needed throughout the town. Maybe try and launch an assault at this corner or this. I don't think this is a death sentence trying to come across here, right? So this corner here, or the corner up here where you have some warehouses. We'll see what happens, but I'm thinking this is going to be a big fight. Lots of cover for the Ukrainians, and lots of flat ground surrounding the town. This is going to be, hopefully, a very difficult objective for the Russians to secure.
Chaos waves, death in air, not in blood, none compare. Brothers fall, but still we rise. Through the pain, hear our cry. Trenches deep, souls are torn. Through the night, till the morn. Screams of rage, hearts of flame. In the void, whisper names. blood we stand tall. Pain and death in our eyes, endless onslaught, hear our cries. Through the mud, bodies break. In the trenches we stay awake. As we die, but we fight. In the dark we seek the light. Silent tears mixed with rain, only madness to explain. Only song, never flee. With each breath we are free. Never give up, never fall. Through the blood we stand tall. Pain and death in our eyes, endless onslaught, hear our cries. Hear our cries. Hear our cries.
Go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.